Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Crime in America. This is the online pandemic version of the course. It's normally taught face-to-face this semester, but due to the campus closing, we're going to be online. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the course requirements. I'm going to show you how to navigate through Blackboard with the assumption that you already know how to log into Blackboard. If you're watching this in Blackboard, obviously you do. If you're watching it because of the email that I sent out to you and you have some difficulty getting to Blackboard, there's a lot of help for you out there on the college webpage. You can always email me and we'll work your way through it. But I think most of you will be able to get into Blackboard at this point. Let me go ahead and get out of the way. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Not everyone here has taken my classes before. Maybe some of you don't know me. I am a twice retired career police officer. I spent 34 years as a full-time police officer here in Texas, working for, very briefly, the Beaumont Police Department. I also worked for the Galveston Police Department for 21 years. I retired from that department and went to work for Dickinson, and I stayed there until I retired to come to work here at Alvin Community College. In Galveston, I spent most of my career in the forensics division, the identification division, processing crime scenes. I was a fingerprint examiner. I did polygraph work. I spent time on patrol as a couple of years as a patrolman and 1 year as a patrol sergeant on the night shift, which was actually a pretty fun job. I also spent a year as an auto theft detective. In my last year there, I was still assigned to the identification division, but I was on loan to IT and was doing pretty much computer programming. I would do some fingerprint work every once in a while, but that was about it. And I did still handle the scheduling for the ID officers at the time because I was the sergeant, but most of my time was spent doing computer programming, windowless room. When I retired from Galveston, I did so because I got a job with the Dickinson Police Department. They were looking to hire someone with some forensic skills. Got hired right in as a detective. And as a side, they gave me fraud because they didn't have a whole lot of fraud at the time. Of course, that was the only area of crime that went up for the next, the duration of the time I was in the Dickinson Police Department. And it went up because of technology changes is really the main reason. The internet became very popular, and it was easier to steal from people using electronic means than any other. So that's why it was the area that went up while most other areas went down. As far as my educational career, I've got my associate degree from College of the Mainland over in Texas City. And it took a while. I went to work full time before I got it. And one of the things that my father told me when I told him I wanted to be a police officer, he wanted me to continue my education. So again, I went slowly, and after I got my associate's degree, I went to started going to University of Houston in Clear Lake City for a criminology degree. Criminology is not really of course, this is a criminology class, so I shouldn't say that. That's not my area of like in the criminal justice courses, and as a major, wasn't the best, but what really put me on hold with University of Houston in Clear Lake City was this young lady named Alicia, who on August 23rd of 1983 blew through Galveston with 127, 130 mile an hour winds. I don't exactly remember, but whatever the winds were, they were enough to blow my house down. And so I took the semester off, or was going to take a year off while I rebuilt, and that turned into 23 years. I was attending the Law Enforcement Management Institute, which is housed at Sam Houston State. You do modules at Texas A&M and Texas Women also. And one of the instructions there was from Midwestern State University, which is a very old school, a little over 100-year-old school in Wichita Falls. And the professor was recruiting for their online program. And so I decided to give it a try. And found that I liked going back to school as a more mature adult. And I can tell you, I couldn't have done online classes at 18, 19. I would have not. I would have had other things to do besides working in a class. And that's one of the things I want you to keep in mind in this online class, particularly if you're not a normal online student. Set a time that you're in class. And if your buddy's called to go whatever, I'm sorry, I'm in class then. And just be real firm about it and stick to it. Otherwise, it's easy to put things off. But at any rate, I finished my bachelor's degree, and I'm glad to say I finished it in time to graduate when my father was still alive. And he did I called him, tell him I was graduating. He said, "Oh yeah, well I want to go to your graduation if you're gonna walk." And I said, "Yeah, Dad, I'm gonna walk." Immediately got on the phone, called the college back, said, "I sent the paperwork in, said I don't want to walk. Can I change that?" And they did, said yes. So I did. My first visit to campus was graduation. My father and my daughter, who was in college at the time herself, went through the graduation. When I finished that, I decided to keep going and got my master's degree in a weekend program, a Master of Science in Criminal Justice Leadership and Management at Sam Houston State University, go Bearcats. That was a great program, a cohort program where we went through pretty much the class that started is what finished. There were a few that came in and a few that went out, but pretty much it was the core of the course. Probably of the 20 that graduated, 13, 14 of us went through the 2-year program, 6 semesters long, and graduated together. I started teaching a little. I kind of wanted to teach as a retirement job, and I got a job teaching at the University of Phoenix. I'm embarrassed by that, to be honest with you. Once I got into the program, it is not worth it. I felt like we were cheating people every time I taught, and I cannot recommend that program. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. I know that a lot of people get their degrees there, but they are about the money. They're not about the education. While I was recruiting for Dickinson, I came here to the Alvin College and was told that the chair of the Criminal Justice Department was retiring. And so I went ahead and applied for his job, not thinking I'd get it. I've only been teaching for a couple of years at the University of Phoenix, and went through the interview process, and lo and behold, I got the job. And I'm very glad I got it. I enjoyed teaching. I really liked the teaching part. But kind of like police work, all that little paperwork that goes with it, all that administrative work that goes with it, that's not so fun. But it's part of the job, so you have to do it. Well, that's about it about myself, other than let's get out of the way and we'll talk about what's going on in this class. So when you log into Blackboard and you go through my courses and get to this Crime in America class, you'll see the really nice graphic work it's graphic work. So I put graphics because I, don't see as well the course that I'm in, and if I got these big graphics, if I'm working on something, I less likely to put something in the wrong class. Okay, it's that's kind of because of I don't know. It's just much easier for me. So here's the graphic that you'll see. You would land on the dashboard page. The dashboard page is the only thing on here you really need to look at is the announcements. And in the announcements, I will be putting them out once a week, talking about what we did the last week or what's due this week. Actually, in the announcements, I just mainly talk about what we do this week, but I'll have a link to the weekly update video where I talk about what we've just completed. The due dates that are over here, don't pay attention to them. I mean, there's not going to be anything due, because I'm not using Blackboard for the due dates, because I allow people to work ahead. And with the way I release material, completing the material, there's some things that if I don't manually grade them, they won't be released if they're past the due date. It just doesn't work out. I tried it a few semesters keeping it in there, and I finally just got rid of all the due dates. The due dates you will see are going to be found in the weekly content section, and also on the Start Here page, we've got a course outline. So let's go ahead and click on that. To navigate through the course, the main things you're going to look at, again, the dashboard gets you, that's your landing page. Start Here is where we have the syllabus, I have the course schedule, the book, I'll have my office hours once I figure out what they're going to be this semester. The next tab is the weekly content. That's where the meat and potatoes is. That's where the material is. I do have a separate link for the exam and for the research paper, and we're going to spend some time looking at each one of these. Not a whole lot of time at the research paper because there is a separate video on that. So let's go here to the Start Here page. And in this page, the first thing you'll have is the syllabus. We're going to look at that in a moment. I've also got a link to my grades, so you can look at your grades for the course. And then below that, I have the course schedule, which kind of look at it. We cover basically a chapter a week. It is subject to change. Things can happen. Just if things do change, I will put out an announcement. So just you can kind of look at that. Here's where my office hours will eventually be posted. It'll be different than what is posted here. And I'll go ahead and mention that now. The office hours, I have to post them, but the fact is, with not being on campus, any meetings we have will be virtual meetings. They don't have to be during my office hours. I'll be available pretty much. I get up early in the morning, so I mean, I usually get up and run by 6:30, run before it gets too hot, and I'll be available, anytime after breakfast until 9-10 o'clock at night. So if you need to see me for a reason to talk about your degree plan or talk about a course or anything like that, we'll set up a virtual meeting where we can display paperwork. All you have to do is send me an email, tell me what you want to meet about, tell me when the best times you're going to be available, and we'll make an appointment. I'll send you a link to log into the virtual meeting. Then the book for this course is Criminology, the Core. It is available for rent. I don't know if this is the current price on it, but you got the numbers here. You can also go to the school bookstore. They'll have copies available. I think they're doing curbside delivery for the books right now, and they're not in the old building they were in. They're in they're in the H building now, is what I read in an email. So again, you can check with them, but you will need to get the book. Okay, so now let's get back to the syllabus. It is a standard template syllabus that is required to be used by campus-wide, so we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the things that are the same. We're going to talk about the things that are specific to this course. Please read the syllabus. You are responsible for knowing and understanding the syllabus for any class that you're in here at the college. This is Crime in America, which is a criminology-based course. It is not a self-paced course, but if you want to finish the course ahead of time, you can. You just must meet all the deadlines for the course to be considered present. That's how the roll is. We'll get to that in a little bit. There are 4 major exams in this class, 3 exams and a final. They have to be taken in a proctored setting using either a desktop or laptop computer. It can be a Windows computer, it can be an Apple computer, or it can be a Chromebook. You cannot use the software we're using, the browser extension we're using on tablets or cell phones. But anything that can use a full version of the Chrome browser will work. You will need to use the Chrome browser because this extension is attached to it. It's made by HonorLock. You will need a microphone. You will need a webcam, and you're going to need an ID and a stable internet. Your ID preferably is your student ID, but any other type of ID that we can read your name and see your picture on and match it up to you, it will work. Communicating with me, definitely go by email. You can call my office and you leave a message and I'll get an email. So just take the step out and send me an email straight from your college account to my account. If you send it from your personal account and I realize it's from your personal account, I'm just going to send you an email back saying, hey, great question. Send me it from your school account and I can answer it. It's a privacy issue, and the school requires us to have it come from the school because of FERPA, and we just don't want any violations there, so you have to send it from a school email account. As far as this course, it's a 3-hour lecture course that is the study of American crime problem. It's in its historic perspective, social and public policy factors affecting crime, impact and crime trends, social characteristics of specific crimes, and prevention of crime. The learning outcomes: upon successful completion of the course, the student will recognize the crime problem of America from a historical perspective. The impact of crime and trends related to it will be discussed. Social characteristics and prevention of specific crimes will be discussed, and then there will be an emphasis on traditional, organized, white-collar, and political crime. The textbook we already talked about. Again, here's another copy of the course schedule. The one in Blackboard will be more up to date than the one here. That's the place I'm going to change it. Once I post this into the college webpage, it's there. I can't change it there. That's why I keep a copy of the calendar in Blackboard. Now your exams are going to be multiple choice exams that are open book. You will be allowed to use your personal notes and your textbook to take the exams. You will not be allowed to use web searches, study sheets from other sources, or practice tests. And if you do so and we catch you doing so, then you will fail this class. That is cheating. You can use your notes. Now, the discussions for this course will be an exam review, so you will be able to complete the review, and you're going to be able to look at other students' exam reviews. If you like their answer better than yours, you can take it and add it to your answer for your study material. That's the reason I have it as a discussion, so you can kind of work together. And you may get better answers. Leave your answer there. Yours might have been more on point for the exam than the other person's, but put both of them there. If you're doing the quizzes in the course, you can take notes from the quizzes. You cannot copy and paste the quizzes into your notes. That's not your notes. You can make notes from them. I would suggest that you take all of your exam reviews and put them into a single document. You can open it up before you take the exam, and you'll only have one document you have to look at. Now keep in mind that HonorLock will show me what's on your screen. And if it's Quizlets or if it's any other search engine site, you're going to fail the class. So just don't do it. It's not worth it. In addition to the exams, there will be quizzes over each chapter. You will have to pass each quiz with a 70 or better to move to the next chapter. While we're talking about quizzes, there are two other quizzes, one of which is going to be over the material we're talking about here, that you have to take before you go to chapter 1. The introductory quiz, which covers this material, and the APA plagiarism video that you need to watch after this. And then the other one is a quiz over the research paper. And again, there's another video on that you'll watch on the research paper tab. You will need to make 100 on both of them. They're both 10-question quizzes. I think there's actually 11 on the research paper, but one of the questions is just you're certifying that you're not going to cheat. You need to answer everything correctly. Once you get 100%, then the Chapter 1 video and the Chapter 1 quiz will be available for you. You need to get your papers in on time. You got a research paper, a presentation, and because of the pandemic, instead of doing an in-person presentation, you're going to have to do a videotape presentation of your the research paper that you produce. You will need to film yourself or have someone film you. You can do it with your phone and post it from your phone. That'll work. Just log into Blackboard. I'll talk to you about that as the time approaches. But you'll need at least 3 people in the audience. Give your cell phone to one of the people and say, hey, pan around, show the other 2 people, show yourself, and then hold the phone on me. You've got about a minimum of 5, an up to 10-minute presentation. The camera should stay on you. I don't need to see your PowerPoint because I'll have a copy of it. You're going to, at the same time you turn in your video presentation, and they're going to be turned in 2 different places, you'll also turn in your PowerPoint, and I can watch the PowerPoint at the same time I watch your video presentation. I've got 2 screens on my computer, so I can do both at once. The other thing you have is there's a participation or discussion grade that you will have, and that is doing all the discussions. You've got an introduction discussion. We've got a little paraphrasing exercise discussion. You have discussions on each and every chapter, and then finally there's a final discussion in the final week that kind of wraps things up. You will need to do the discussions in 3 follow-up posts for the chapter reviews, the follow-up post, and none of the follow-up posts can be, hey, great job. you need to have some substance to it. On the follow-up post to the questions on the chapter reviews, you'll have to find an answer that's different than yours, and then compare the two. Say, you got widgets for what is a thingamajig, and I got whatchamacallits. So talk about it and say what the difference is. Don't just say, hey, you got a different answer than me. Here's my answer. Say, hey, you got this. I got this. There's a little bit of difference in those. And don't cheat in this class. I promise you, you get caught cheating, you fail. That's all there is to it. You cheat on an exam, you turn in a plagiarized paper. The only appropriate action is an F for the course. Not for the exam, not for the paper, but for the entire course. So your only other option if you get caught cheating is, if it's not too late to drop the class, you could drop the class. But yeah, don't cheat. Okay, kind of a breakdown of the grading in the course. We have the 3 major exams that they're 50 question, multiple choice, maybe a couple true false in there. They're worth 15% of your grade each. The final exam is going to be 80 questions, 50 new questions covering new material, and 30 questions covering all the old material. That's worth 20%. That research paper presentation, there's another video on it you need to watch. That's worth 10% of your grade. The quizzes are worth 15% of the grade. And hey, here's a clue. You can retake the quizzes until you make a 100. And if you made a 90 on the quiz, you take it again, and you made an 80, you still have a 90s because I'm taking the highest score. And then all that participation discussion is worth 10%. So make sure you get all those completed. Now we're going to talk about the attendance policy for the class. You're not going to have to go to class any particular time. I'm going to have an orientation. That's going to be a virtual orientation. If you can't make it to that, you'll have to make arrangements to do a one-on-one orientation with me. But other than that, there's no set time to do anything for the course. The way we do attendance is there are deadlines each week. It'd be quizzes. There can be discussions. It might be the research paper. There might be exams. If you do everything that you were supposed to do and get them done by the end of the week, which is going to be on Thursday each week, then you will get marked as present. If you get some of it done, but not all of it, you're marked as late. And if you don't do anything, you're marked as absent. Now, if you're marked late twice during the semester, then you will have the equivalent of an absence. So if you're late twice and you're absent twice, that becomes 3 absences. And if you're absent one more time, or if you're late one more time after that, you just lost a letter grade off your final grade, because you're allowed up to 3 absences. Anything more for each complete absence after that, you will lose 1 final grade on your final grade. So let's say you got an A average, you miss the deadlines on some things on 4 different weeks. That would be 2 absences. And you don't do anything for 2 weeks. That would be 2 more absences. That's 4 absences. The best grade you can make in the class is a B. If you have a B average, you get a C. If you have a C average, you get a D. If you have a D average, you fail the course. So just kind of keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, just because you were marked absent because you didn't do anything, it doesn't excuse you from doing the assignments. In order to pass the course, all assignments must be completed. That means you need to do all of the discussion boards, you must take all the quizzes, you must take all the exams, you must do the research paper, and so forth. In fact, if you don't present your research paper, you fail the class. So you've got to do everything. It's just kind of the way the course is set up. Well, the rest of the syllabus is pretty much standard language, so please read it, and if you have any questions on it, get with me. Now we'll go back and navigate back to the other areas here in Blackboard. We've got the exam tab and the research paper tab. We'll go ahead to, let me go back and put it in the student mode so you see what you will actually see. On the exam tab, I've got a list of each exam and their due dates, and then I've got some information on the HonorLock system. Now you'll have to take each exam with the HonorLock. I've got a short video, I think it is about 12 minutes, that
hello everybody,
tells you all about the HonorLock system and how it works on my particular courses. The major exams and the introductory quiz have to be taken with HonorLock. The reason the introductory quiz is taken with HonorLock is because I want you to test it out, make sure it works with your computer before you have to go to take the actual exam. Now, before you can see the exams, you have to complete all the material that was required for that particular exam. So for exam 1, you would have to, I believe it's the first 3 chapters, you have to take the quizzes and have to participate in the discussions, including the paraphrase discussion and the introductory discussion. When you do that, then right down here, actually right above the HonorLock video, a link will appear for the exam, and then you can take the exam. Once you watch this HonorLock video, if you've taken any other online classes since we started the HonorLock, which we just started this summer semester, it's not that hard to use. So just, watch the video. If you have any questions, give me a call, and we'll get you through it. Again, the exams are open book, open notes. They are 50 questions or 80 for the final. What you want to make sure you do is finish the exam before you start looking things up. This summer semester, I had a student who got booted out, had some HonorLock issues with navigation. They're trying to work to fix it, but that we've got some workarounds on that. Hopefully, it'll be fixed before your class starts, and you don't have to use the workaround. But anyway, I'm looking at his exam, and he's like on question 25, and he's used 30 minutes already. He's only got 20 minutes to go. There was no way he was going to finish the exam because he's sitting there looking up every answer. And it's like, no, you can't do that. Finish the exam. Anyone you want to look at, you can make a handwritten note, go back to number 3, and then you go back to number 3, and then look it up. That's just some test-taking, hints. And I'll talk about it more in the weekly updates when we get close to taking the exams. The other tab I've got is the research paper tab, and on this tab you will see the instructions on it. There's the research paper video. Please watch that. There's a note for myself to delete the summer topics before y'all get to fill in your topics, because I've still got the summer class going as I'm producing this video. And I don't want to delete their choices out until after I grade their papers. Kind of make sure everybody got what they were, were writing the paper on what their choice was. And then I've got the quiz that you have to make 100% on. That's where you, I don't see the link to load the paper. But anyway, I'll have to find that. I might have to add it again. Oh, I know why it's not there. You got to make 100% of the research paper before it shows up. But it'll be there for you to upload your research paper, to upload your PowerPoint presentation here, and then we're going to use ShareStream for you to upload your video because it takes in a much larger file than Blackboard will allow. When you click on the research paper tab, that's where you select your topic. Of course, when you watch this video, it'll tell you a whole lot more about that. Now to the meat and potatoes, the weekly content. If you click on the weekly content tab and then scroll down, you can see what is due in each and every week of the course. If we go to week 1, it will show us what's going on, things that you have to do, the introductory, watch the video. That's the video I'm making right here. Gives you kind of the learning objectives for that week. There's the plagiarism video. Another thing with the HonorLock so that you know how to use it before you take the introductory quiz. Introduce yourself discussion where you tell us about yourself. And then the research paper where you take the quiz. My paraphrase one's missing. I'll have to make sure that gets put back in there. And then finally, at the bottom of each of one of the weeks, I'll have a thing called Ask Your Instructor. What I would like each one of you to do when you, after you watch this video, simply click on this and then click on the subscribe button. That way, if anybody asks a question on that particular tab, that it will send you an email so you'll know that there's a question The purpose of this is if there's something that could affect other people, I want you to ask the question here, like it's about the book, it's about one of the tests or something of that nature. Post it here. I will answer it. I'll probably send you a personal email and answer it on the board, both. If you got a personal question, though, if you got a question about your grades or your degree plan or anything like that, that doesn't belong on this forum. Send me an email from your college email address to my college email address, and we will work on getting that answered. That's what we've got for this page. Let me go ahead to the week 2 page and just kind of make a point something out. On this page, it says we're going to be looking at chapter 1. You've got the chapter learning objectives, and you've got the discussion. But what you don't have is the chapter 1 video or the chapter 1 quiz, because this practice student that I've got logged into has not made a 100 on those quizzes. The introductory quiz and the research paper quiz, or participated in the two, the paraphrase or the introduction discussion boards. Once that occurs, then your quiz and video will show up. And then you've got the discussion board you're going to do each week. There's the exam review. I want you to kind of click on it. You can save it to your computer. Let's see if this one will open up. Oh, there it goes. When you're ready to post it, complete this. I would print this out or download it to your computer and have it while you're watching the video, reading the book. As you're doing that, you can kind of look through it and add your answers. When you're just done with it, save a copy because you can use it on the exam. But then what you want to do is you want to select everything here, and then you want to go back to the discussion board. It's set up so you cannot look at anybody else's until you create a thread. When you create the thread, you put your name in there, chapter 1 or whatever you want, and then just paste the material in using the Control V or Command V to paste it in, so that your answers are directly in the discussion board and not as an attachment. I've got people that put attachments using Apple's Pages. I can't read it. It's, Apple is very particular about their stuff, and they don't like to play well with the rest of the world. There are other formats. If you cut and paste it in there, it doesn't matter what you wrote it in, it will work just fine. So please cut and paste them in there and then submit it. What you cannot do is you cannot simply create a blank thread so that you can see what other people's answers are beforehand. That's another thing I had this summer. I had a student doing that, and I finally had to explain to him if he did it one more time, he was going to fail the class, because I let him know that is cheating. I'm letting y'all know up front. If you make an empty post, maybe something happened, send me an email saying, I didn't mean to put an empty post, I forgot to attach my file. I'll understand that. This student had 5, I think, discussions. We do 3 a week in the summer program, and they were all a blank post, and then his answers came 2 hours later. I know exactly what he was doing. So don't cheat. It's definitely not worth it to cheat. Well, guys, I'm looking forward to seeing each and one of you. Either the orientation class or just virtually, or here on in class through the discussion boards and so forth. I hope y'all all feel comfortable taking the online class. If you're not used to taking online classes, please let me know if you have any issues or if you got any concerns. Send me an email and I will call you. Put your phone number and a time to call you. I'll definitely call you and we'll talk about it. That's all I've got for this week. Please be sure you do all the material that is due in week 1. Watch right below there. There is the APA plagiarism video. Do the video on the research paper. Take all the quizzes. Do your discussions. The 2 different discussions that are due. And please, when you if you can make it to one of the scheduled orientations, do so. If not, send me an email and we will set up a time where we can kind of go on and make sure everybody's on the same page. That's all I've got for you this week.